Hello, Internet! Shal is here, and it's time for another episode of ShoutStone. Once again, I'm bringing you more Hearthstone action from the beta, and another Shoutcast brought to me by my good buddy Viper. So, without further ado, let's hop into the action right now. It is Anduin versus Jaina, Priest versus Mage, Viper playing the part of Anduin, Felweaver playing the part of the Mage, Jaina. So, I am casting another Viper game because I have a lot of his games to cast, and I don't have many games from anybody else. So, if you happen to be in the beta, or you know someone who is, convince them to, send me their games. It's really easy. Just put your game on YouTube. If you don't want to list it publicly, set it for unlisted, and just send me the link to it, and I'll get the game and cast it on the channel. It's all good. I've even been doing a little bit of trolling on the Twitch forums and sending messages to various streamers to see if anybody's interested, but it's a little tricky because it comes down to the quality of the stream and what's on the stream, and if it's full of tons of ridiculous overlays and stuff like that, then it's hard for me to really cast it without it just looking kind of weird. But anyway, let us begin the game. So, Viper starting things off with a light well. Nothing wrong with that. It's usually something that's going to be out there, difficult to shut down this early. And it looks like all that Felweaver can respond with is a fireball that is immediately dealt with. So he does have the option at this point to shield and then... Well, he doesn't have Inner Fire. That's Divine. You can really buff the health of that light well, but if he had Inner Fire, that little 3-card combination could make that quite the potent light well. Until it's silenced, of course. Like everything else. Alright, so Earthen Ring Farseer comes into play. Now Felweaver going to respond with Mirror Image. Not a bad time to play it. It's starting to get to a point where it looks like Viper has some good options. Fortunately, he can pretty easily dispose of it, at least of the problem. And also going to drop Sorcerer's Apprentice. That is a dangerous card to leave on the table very long for a Mage player. So, yeah, he is going to be able to silence it out with that Spellbreaker and take out one of the taunt minions, and is just going to pass the turn on that. So, that's a pretty smart move there. At least he shuts down the threat of that Apprentice and starts clearing out those taunt minions, which at this point of the game are just sort of annoying little pests versus being really dangerous threats. Now at this point, I'm certainly one of the bigger threats on the table for Felweaver to deal with is going to be that light well. Unless she can start dishing out some significant damage to those minions, that light well is just going to keep things in check. All those minions, the only minion she has on the field right now is that Apprentice, and she has her hero power. So, at best she can take the Spellweaver out at the sacrifice of that only attackable minion, or attacking minion. She could also take the Farseer out, I guess, if she really wanted to. But it also comes down to what spells and options are in her hand, and there's a lot of cards there. As it stands right now, it's a very even game, not just in terms of health. You can't measure the ebb and flow of a game based on health. Right now, Viper has a disadvantage when it comes to total cards, but he does have the board advantage. So, pretty even in that regard. Alright, so it looks like Jaina's playing the coin, followed by Blizzard, which will do damage across to everything, and he's going to sacrifice that minion to take out the Spellbreaker. So, Lightwell heals itself up. Viper could use his heal on that Farseer. It is frozen right now, but he could keep it alive for another turn, generally, depending on what other options are in the Mage player's deck. I don't know if he's going to want to do that first or get a minion out there, because he only has 4-drop minions right now, so it's pretty much play a minion or heal your Farseer. And And he is going to play that Taunt Minion instead, which is a good way to keep the attention off of the Farseer for hopefully at least one more turn. Having to contend with a 7 health minion on the 6-drop can be very difficult, especially if there's no attacking minions on the field. So, you know, Felweaver's in a pretty tough bind right now. She needs to start getting some minions out on the field. That little 0-1 mirror image is not sufficient for dealing with what Viper's going to be putting out there. And I mean, at this point, you have to look at it from the perspective of somebody who's blind to what the options are. So, if you're looking at a person who's already got 3 minions on the field, you know, even if you do, you got to count the Lightwell when you're playing against a priest, because if they hit that thing with a shield and Divine Spirit and Inner Fire, now you're dealing with a monster of a minion. Not to mention, it's going to constantly be healing up things that you're trying to kill. So the Lightwell is probably going to heal up that Farseer before Viper even has to. Alright, so another Frost Nova. One of the very handy things about Mage decks is their control. And this is a really good control deck if you're utilizing these spells. Because right now, he has basically shut down Viper from being able to attack with any of his current minions. Alright, so there is that Light Spawn. He is going to double the health on. He could use that... I can't use the shield at this point. But it is buffed up to 8/8 now. So we'll have to see what kind of control options Felweaver has to really shut this play down. But as I was saying, before I caught with the action, you got to play the game like your opponent has some serious threats, especially when you're getting into the 6-7 drop point of the game. When you're reaching that turn, there's tons of really costly, damaging options that your opponent can have. So you gotta start having some defenses in place and some offense in place. Because right now, it is significantly, I would say, board advantage, it is significantly in the favor of Viper right now, of the Priest player. I'm going to play Frostbolt on that top minion. It's not enough to take it out, so I'll have to see what other options she has. I'm very surprised if there's not a lot of other minion options that are available. I mean, I don't know what's in Felweaver's hand, so I can't say for sure. But another Frostbolt on the Light Spawn. So he manages to control, interestingly enough, the one high health minion and one minion who doesn't really have much attack, but just a lot of HP. So now the field is clear, and minions are coming out like crazy. And that Light Spawn is being buffed up to high levels. But there is always the danger that there's a Polymorph in that hand. And Felweaver could be holding on to something like a Polymorph for an opportunity like this, where the danger is posing itself as a 10-10 Light Spawn that will probably be a 12-12 Light Spawn on the next turn when Viper heals it. Alright, so Felweaver playing that Arcane Intellect. Apparently the options that she does have are not sufficient for this play. So we're going to have to see exactly what she can pull out of her hat at this point. It's really dire straits right now. I mean, the health is still even. Alright, a secret's going to come into play. It could be any number of things, though. Yeah, I mean, at this point, there's a lot of possible incoming damage. I would certainly not attack with my 10-10 minion first. Well, there it is. It's all buffed up back to max. And it does trigger a card draw for the Northshire Cleric. And a Holy Nova. So that'll be very handy. So it could be a mirror entity. It could be a ice barrier. I was trying to think of the right word there. Alright, so another health whip. It is not mirror entity. So let's see. Alright, so it's going to trigger it. Probably is ice barrier, and yep, it's ice barrier. So that'll help in the short term, but there is so much damage that is building up on that side of the table, and it's the ice barrier is going to be gone on this turn. Boom, there it goes. But it did help deflect a significant chunk of the damage that the light spawn was going to be able to deal. But Mage player's on a timer now. There's some serious damage on there. Hopefully she's going to get some more control cards to really start shutting down these things. Anything with a silence is extremely useful. Polymorph, extremely useful. See, this is even an opportunity where a Flame Strike would be sort of handy, but not entirely. And Vipers does have that silence in his hand, so even if she does manage to put down a pretty potent minion, he's going to be able to shut it down if it has any kind of real, passive ability or buffing ability or anything like that. So what we're looking at right here is just a really difficult spot, and I wonder if this Mage deck was built as more of a spell-heavy deck, which is all well and good, if that's the style of play you want to have, that's fine, but it's certainly challenging. It's a really big deal to deal with. So another Secret goes into play. Could be another Ice Barrier. Those are very potent spells. Cult Master is going to come in, so she's going to have to get some other minions out there to make that Cult Master worthwhile. But nothing yet. So at this point, going to try and trigger... Alright, it is not. That's really interesting. So this game is basically over. I'm not sure why he's not just finishing off this opponent. He could have finished her off right there. Oh, he can still finish her off, so... Alright. Yeah, this game is basically it here. And a 14 damage attack. And boom, goes the dynamite. So, there you have it. That was just a case of... I'm not really sure what that was exactly. That was either a really bad player or just a really bad deck. Or just a really, really unlucky deck. It could have been a really good deck that just happened to be super unlucky in the draw rate and everything like that. I don't know. But Viper kind of smashed her. Like, really smashed it. So, spell-heavy decks are good, but you still need to have minions because you want to have those spell power minions, obviously. Else why bother? Plus, it helps to have that extra attack, because if your deck is only one-dimensional, well, sometimes it can get shut down like that. So, there you have it. That is going to do it for this episode of ShoutStone. I'll be back tomorrow with more, as always. Go ahead and leave a comment if there's anything in particular you'd like to see on this channel. I'm always open to hearing new things and new ideas and whatnot. You can also like this video, subscribe if you want to be notified every single day when new videos come out. And you can find me on Facebook and Twitter. Links are in the description below. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.